Yo, this is Christian. Today I want to talk about working remotely and how can you start working remotely as a beginner developer, I guess. I want to cover a few things, right? I want to talk about the soft skills and then the hard skills and what are my recommendations when it comes to going from not having any experience all the way to being able to work remotely. So, the first thing that you need to know is that you need to be a good communicator. Okay, the reason why you need to be a good communicator is because obviously you won't have anyone to tap on the shoulder whenever you have a problem, whenever you get stuck, whenever you need to get some approvals for the things that you are working on. So you need to be able to express clearly what your intentions are, okay, to technical people, right, to other software developers, to other front end or back end developers. And you also need to express your concerns, your comments, your requests to non-technical people, people such as the Scrum Master, the project manager, the product owner, the business owner, whatever. So you need to be able to communicate in a non-technical way the technical things that you are working on. Okay, so that's the first thing. You need to be a good communicator. Then you also need to be a reliable person. Okay, and that's pretty difficult when you are working remotely. I'm working right now from this beautiful place, and very often I just don't want to work. I just want to chill out, go on the beach. So you need to be a reliable person when it comes to working remotely, because people trust you, and even though you might be working from home or from an island like me, you need to show up and do your work. Okay, that's pretty important, because if you don't do your work you won't be paid and if you don't get paid you will end up on the streets. Okay, you don't want that, trust me. So that's like the first part, the soft skills, if you may. Now, in terms of hard skills, right? What I suggest anyone to do is to become really good at one thing. Probably you've been watching my videos for quite some time, and if you didn't, then this is the first thing that I'm gonna recommend you to do, to be really good at what you're doing. I'm actually not even recommending my students to become to work remotely, even though all of them they do work remotely. The reason why I don't think you should be working remotely in your first maybe 2 years in your software development career is because it's going to be very, very helpful to you to have someone to tap on the shoulder whenever you have a question. Okay, it's going to be very easy to do some pair programming with another developer and get some insight into how that other developer thinks, and that's going to help you massively when it comes to improving your skills. Okay, so if you have the option, I know it's pretty difficult right now with this corona situation, everyone is stuck at home, I guess, but if you do have the option, I would highly, highly recommend you to go in an office and sit next to a developer. Okay, so for example, all my students right now, they are in different countries and they talk to me in the Facebook group. Even though it's really, really good, it would be much better if we would be, I guess, together. But then if that would happen, they would have to quit their jobs. I need to relocate to the US and Canada or whatever. So that, for me, that works well. For them, it works well. But when it comes to working your job, I would try as much as possible to work next to a developer. And even before you are getting into tech, I would recommend to you to work alongside a developer, because that's how you learn. I mean, there is no, it's so obvious, but for some reason no one sees it. Like when you are by yourself and you are doing your own coding thing and you are doing like your code wars and Udemy courses and your pizza website and your chocolate website and whatever, you think you are like, wow, I'm so good, I'm really great. And I'm talking about this from experience, okay? But when you sit next to a developer, you realize how many flaws you have and you learn so much faster. Like literally 100 hours spent by yourself learning code are equal to 1 hour spent alongside a developer. If you've never experienced it, you can't even imagine it, you know. So it's one of those things. So what I'm going to recommend you to do is to do the following thing. Let's say you are past that honeymoon when you are learning about HTML, CSS, you know, and you are trying to see if things are working out for you and if you actually like this job. You are already past that first phase, which is maybe 1 to 3 months. Usually people quit after 1 or 2 days because they don't stick to it. But if you are one of those persons who stuck to it, right, and you actually see yourself doing this, then you need to choose one stack, okay? Either the back end or the front end. Okay, this is super important. Choose one stack and try to figure out what would you do in the real world, okay? What kind of work would you do in the real world? Now, it's gonna be different if you are doing backend or front end, okay? So I'm gonna talk about the front end because that's what I coach, that's what I teach. Usually what people do is they start with the calculator, with the to-do app, which is fine. My students do that as well, and they have code reviews and all that stuff. But those are not projects that you will be making in the real world. Those are just applications that help you think and help you see patterns, okay? After you transition from those type of applications, which are all right, I guess you should be doing them at some point to understand, like create, read, update, delete, and all this stuff, you know. You need to understand how to work with data and how to see the data flow and all these things. And then after you transition from that, you need to learn a library or a framework, okay? The one that I choose is React because it's the most popular one. It's gonna be here for a while, so you don't need to learn another one in a few months or in a few years. You can also choose Angular or Vue. I don't have experience with those, so it's up to you if you wanna do that. But you have to choose one of those frameworks or libraries. React is a library, but sometimes I call it a framework. And then what I would do is I would rebuild everything that I've done with vanilla JavaScript. I would redo that with React just to understand how to think in React, okay? While you do that, you need to get feedback and code reviews because you might be doing things in a non-React way without even knowing, and then you might be getting bad habits that will actually make you, that will stop your progress because you'll get stuck in some weird bugs and you don't even know how to solve those bugs, if that makes sense. Yeah, so that I've seen that quite a lot. Once you finish that, right? Once you finish that, you need to look around you and you need to open your eyes and start to be aware of the applications that you're using, of the websites that you're using, even if they are on your computer or on your phone, and try to see the patterns that other developers are incorporating in their applications, okay? Think about an application that has multiple routes, okay? Think about an application that uses one or multiple APIs. Think about how you can compose those API calls into pages, I guess. Then, once you've got that, you also need to take care. That's the pizza delivery guy. Once you've got that basic mock-up or idea in your head or on paper, then you need to figure out a design, okay? You don't need to be a designer to create a design. Yeah, if you think about it, there are services like Fiverr where you can get a design done for you. So one of the biggest issues that I see with aspiring developers is that they don't think about the whole product. They are only thinking about the React part, okay, which is not important if you think about it. The user doesn't care if you're using React or Vue. The user cares to see an application that works as the user expects it to work, if that makes sense. Okay, so you need to start to think like a UI designer, like a UX designer. You need to become the entrepreneur that comes up with the app. You need to become the senior developer. You need to give yourself code reviews. You need to make sure that the way you're writing your code is scalable. Okay, the way you're writing your code is understandable by other humans, not just by your linter in your VS Code. So there are all these kind of moving parts that you need to take care of, and because of the fact that you need to be product owner, product manager, entrepreneur, designer, UX designer, senior developer, and junior developer. That's why it's so difficult to learn to code by yourself, because you are just a junior developer. You should just be following instructions and you should just build stuff. You don't have to think about anything else, okay? And that's why it's so difficult to learn to code by yourself, because there are so many other jobs that you need to learn, so many other jobs that are unnecessary for you to learn in order to get your first job. And that's why I'm inviting you to have a conversation together, so I can help you out with all the other stuff, and you'll only have to deal with writing code, because that's all you need to do. All you need to do to learn to code, to get a job, and then work remotely, maybe from a place like this. It's pretty sick, actually. It's very, very sunny, and I'm trying to figure out how this camera thing works. I'm really bad at it. But yeah, so if you want to work from a place like this, and if you want to have like money so you can enjoy this, not just go to Thailand because that's the only thing you can afford, and you want to take advantage of people that are over there like most Westerners do. If you want to, I don't know, maybe you want to retire your parents. This is one of my goals. I want to retire my parents early, 20 years or earlier, you know. I want to travel the world. I want to invest in Bitcoin. I can do all these things apart from retiring my parents, which I'm still working on it. But if you want to do the same, this is possible. And why not shortcut your progress if you could? Why not? What's stopping you, if you think about it? Do you really want to spend 2-3 years dabbling around and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't, trying to stay motivated all the time instead of just following a simple roadmap, you know, getting realistic feedback along the way, so you know exactly what you're doing, so you know exactly when you'll be ready? I don't know. If you want to do all those things, there is a link in the description. Click on it, go on my website. There's a video there, watch it. Then apply for a free consultation call with me. We'll figure out if we can work together and if I can help you reach your goals, okay? And if we do, we'll work together. If not, that's no problem whatsoever. You can unsubscribe from my YouTube, from my LinkedIn, from Facebook, from wherever you are seeing me. And yeah. Anyway, I wish you a lovely day. I'm gonna go back to work. Cheers.